public comments today?
No, Chair, there are not.
We'll close the public comment, move on. Consideration and action of an action on the minutes of the May 20th, 2025 Sugarland 4B Corporation meeting and the May 20th, 2025 Sugarland Corporation Development Corporation meeting and Sugarland 4B Corporation joint meeting. Does anyone have any corrections or comments?
Yeah, motion to approve.
Second. All in favor? Approved unanimously. We'll now move on to the consideration of an action on the appointment of 2 directors to the fiscal year 2026 Budget Committee. Devin?
Good afternoon. So annually for our budget process, we have a 4B budget subcommittee that is appointed. It's 2 members of the 4B board, usually the non-city council members. And so we need an appointment of those 2 members as part of this process. What will happen is in the next couple of weeks, we will sit down and meet and go over that budget. And then the rest of the city's budget workshops will begin starting in July and August timeframe. So this is a pretty quick turnaround of we already are in budget season. So that meeting, it's generally 1 meeting. And then at the July meeting, we will have our 4B budget workshop. And those subcommittee members will then be speaking on what we discussed as related to that budget. And so just at this point, it's just any appointments that you all would like to make for the board.
Yes, I'd like to make, whoa, God, it's a mercy. Now, I'd like to make a motion that Mary and Alan be nominated for the committee.
I'll second it.
Or you guys accept that?
Yes, we accept.
Okay.
I do too.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Thank you very much. Thanks, Devin. Okay, we'll now move on. We'll receive and hear all persons desiring to be heard on Sugarland 4B Corporation Resolution Number SLB SO4B-R-25-05. Resolution of the Board of Directors of the Sugarland 4B Corporation approving a request by the City of Sugarland to fund a splash pad at Sugarland Memorial Park in the amount of $892,824. We'll hear from William.
Thank you. Good evening, directors. Good to be back. Some of y'all may not know me. I'm William Hygic. I'm one of the assistant directors for City of Sugarland Parks and Recreation Department. We are excited to present to y'all opportunity for Memorial Park for a splash pad at Memorial Park. I wanted to give some introductions of our team, do a little quick recap of all the Sugarland 4B projects that was proposed or implemented throughout the last 12 months through a resolution last year, including the design of the splash pad, which is what we're mostly here to talk about. And then I wanted to give a little bit of some context and background of splash pads. And then I was going to hand it over to our consultant for a little bit more in-depth dive of the design of the proposed splash pad at Memorial Park and the proposed costs. We do have a team, as you all probably know, that projects do take a team of work of people. It's not just done by one person or one individual. There is a team that are behind this. We've been working very eagerly on the past 9-10 months on this splash pad project with the consultant the past 9 months. We do have Phone Lindu, our Parks Development Manager, behind me to your right. Carla Barrios is from the engineering department. She's our awesome project manager. She keeps us in line. And then back in September, we contracted out with the design funding Kimberly Horn. We have Shannon Mundy with us this evening and Christina as well. So thank y'all. So just as a reminder of the what we're trying to accomplish is address high demands from the community, enhance recreational opportunities, encourage social gathering, reinvest in older parks, provide attractive regional destinations, and promote physical and mental awareness. The Zen City survey that Customer Experience sends out If you note that, what of the following would you like them to mostly see in parks and around more of in Sugar Land? And you can see very high up on the list was pavilions and shade structures, playgrounds, and of course, splash pads. So they definitely, there's a need for and a want for more of those type things. I will also mention that the 2018 master plan mentioned splash pads, a need for more splash pads several times, and a deficiency of splash pads as well. So just a quick recap. I have pictures of each of these projects that I'm going to go through very quickly, but just a quick recap of what was approved last year. Imperial Park Recreation Center cardio room build out for a little over $400,000. The Brazos River Playground shade structure, a little over $210,000. The pavilion at Memorial Park Butterfly Garden, $55,000. Memorial Park splash pad design only at $85,000. That is being discussed tonight. It is right at about 95, going to 100% design as we speak. And then, of course, the Imperial Park shade structure at a little over $70,000. The theme here is, of course, a lot what you saw in the Zen City survey, shade and splash pad. Okay, so projects don't just happen overnight. The team works very closely together. Sometimes design build, sometimes with a consultant, but nevertheless, every project has to go through design. That's typically like 30, 60, 90% design. Typically in those stages, we go to Parks Board for review, and then just questions, concerns, comments. I will note that back in March, the splash pad design did go to Parks Board for review and comment, and then consideration. We took a look at their questions and comments and concerns into the bringing it to 95% design. Of course, then quotes, contracts over 100,000 have to go to City Council for approval. Permits, City of Sugar Land required permits. Order of materials, sometimes that takes a while. And social media and signage on the construction site. Construction, of course, is the fun part. I like that part. That's why I like doing what I do. That's the fun part to me. And then ribbon cutting, which we've had quite a few, and then we're gonna have more tomorrow. Social media, a lot of engagement on social media on these five quick win projects. We anticipate a lot of positive for the splash pad as well. But of course, signage went out at the projects explaining where the funding came from. And then as you can see, quite a few interactions on that post about the shade over the Brazos River Park playground. The IPRC cardio weight room build out. It was opened up to the public on 5/12. I went there last night and worked out with my wife and kids. It was quite fun. The ribbon cutting was on 5/22, about a month ago? And the outdoor fitness part of that project is still in design to be determined on the completion of that. That is a outdoor section right outside of the rec center. As you can see on the left side picture, there's a picture of the cardio weight room that we ribbon cut a couple weeks ago. Air conditioned, basically turning a meeting room into a cardio weight room, full cardio weight room with ceiling fans and air conditioning and matte flooring. Quite a fun project. Along the same time, we ribbon cut at the same date the completion of the shade structure 30 by 30 at Imperial Park, including picnic tables and 2 large barbecue pits. We finished literally like the day before the ribbon cutting, so I wasn't sweating, but maybe I was a little bit. But we got it done. It includes concrete pad and really just a lot of value for your dollar with these shade canopies. We did the same at the pump track, and they're just a big hit. This is nestled between the upper and lower complex of Imperial Park, which is a girls softball complex, and it also has a disc golf course there as well. So a nice little resting spot for users to enjoy some shade, keyword shade. Butterfly, not too far down the road from here, Memorial Park. We were given the opportunity, thanks to y'all, for installing a 16 by 16 metal pavilion at the Butterfly Garden. This Butterfly Garden was installed by me and a summer intern one summer about 8-9 years ago. No cost, no budget, and over the years, Fonlin, Caitlin, and myself and volunteers have been working really hard at growing the Butterfly Garden, adding to it with Eagle Scouts and Girl Scouts. And now we finally have some shade nearby it. Fun fact, there is a rain barrel that was paid for by Public Works Water Conservation Fund to capture water off the roof. The first rain that came by right after we installed it, it filled the barrel up. That's a 300-gallon barrel that will provide water to the Butterfly Garden. And we're basically just conserving water in a most natural way. There is some signage there, as you can see in your right-hand picture, that explains why water harvesting is important and what we're trying to do here. And so that water will go directly to the butterfly garden. Not needed today. It's been raining a lot, but there is patches of no rain, right? And so we're happy to see that users, as you can see in the picture, are already stopping and taking a break. The volunteers also need breaks from the sun too. So this is a good opportunity for the volunteers that work so hard in the butterfly garden to enjoy a break and take a quick water break or a snack and enjoy some relief from the heat. Our next project, a big one, we'll ribbon cut this tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. We're very excited. The shade structures over the largest playground that City of Sugar Land owns that I maintain at Brazos River Park, just down the road from Memorial Park. And as you can see, the majority of that playground is now shaded thanks to Sugar Land 4B funding. We're excited to ribbon cut this tomorrow. Very excited. Sugar Land Memorial Park, this is where the proposed splash pad is going to be. The team looked really hard at looking for a regional park that really is in need of some more. And that's already a very loved park. As you can see, it's the second most visited park in Sugar Land with 198,000 visitors and 571,000 visits annually. It has a lake loop trail around the lake. Water is very popular, about 210 visits per day on average. The only other splash pad that the city owns that we maintain is at River Park. I did not design or build it. It's a fairly simple splash pad. We annexed it when we took over the mud projects, when we annexed River Park. I would say maybe about 11, 12 years ago, somewhere in that neighborhood. And it's a pretty basic splash pad, but it is nestled basically into a neighborhood park setting. Parking is kind of an issue. It's a very popular park. Me and Folin drove by there yesterday, and kids were just playing all in it like crazy. It's open about 6.5 days a week. It's closed Tuesday morning for maintenance just because we need people off of it just so we can maintain it. It's so popular. But it just doesn't have, the restroom is HOA restroom, and that playground is not my playground. And whether the playground's open to the public, the restroom is not. And so that creates some challenges. So we really were looking for a park that has controllables, that has things that we control and that we maintain. And that's Sugar Land Memorial Park. I'll get into that in just the next slide. And about in August, the Sugar Land 4B board did approve about $500,000 for the splash pad construction as part of the fiscal year 2025 capital improvement project funding. This amount was a preliminary amount that staff had looked up, just kind of preliminary before we got Kimberly Horn on board and kind of before we knew what inflation costs would do. We didn't have any contingency into that. And then really what can bring up the price too is what we've learned with Kimberly Horn, who's been excellent to work with, is just if we want to make a destination splash pad with shade and with ADA connections and with proper drainage and thickness on the concrete, and all those things that we want and hold, we know the citizens are going to hold value of a splash pad and truly make it destinational, it's going to cost a little bit more than that. And we'll deep dive down to that cost estimate here in just a minute, okay? A little bit more on the site context. I don't want to bore you all to death too much, but right there by the playground, just north of the playground, nestled between the Eagle Plaza and the monument there, you can see on the very north of the picture, and the hill and the playground is the proposed splash pad. And so it will connect to that Lake Loop gravel trail and to the concrete 10-foot shared use path, nestled right there, just connecting to the playground. Of course, the existing restroom building will serve as a very close proximity to serve as a restroom for the splash pad. An existing pavilion. Fun fact, we just added a very large ceiling fan, outdoor ceiling fan to that pavilion, installed right before Memorial Day ceremony, which was awesome. And of course, this park is part of a much bigger park, right? Brazos River Park is just about a mile down the road in a park connector road. So we feel like this is a very central place for a splash pad at a park that's already very well used. A little site context photos. As you can see, we are choosing to put the splash pad there right north of the playground in that flat area before the hill. More photos kind of give you a little bit more context that we're going to use existing shade from the existing trees. We'll add some new trees, of course, and canopy to get even more shade for family gatherings. And then that wooden fence will go away and we'll have one uniform metal fence to connect the playground and splash pad together. It's just going to look like one big project. With that, I'd really like to give it over to Shannon, Kimberly Horn. She's going to go over a little bit more in depth on the design and the cost breakdown. Thank y'all.
Thanks, guys. Again, Shannon Mundy with Kimberly Horn. So I'm just going to jump right into the design here. Our criteria includes engaging kids of all ages and capabilities. We want to provide something fun and unique. Parks, William mentioned there's another splash pad, so we wanted to make sure this was different but also timeless. Easy access to other park amenities like the playground and restroom, adjacent trails, shade, always a priority. And then easy maintenance for parks, and then impactful design while keeping budget in mind. So this is the current site plan. We rendered it just so it's easy to read. I'm going to go through the splash pad equipment later, but just an overview. We are between the existing shared use path and the Lake Loop Trail, and then we're right north of the playground. So we have really good pedestrian access. We have picnic table areas. We've got lots of shade, which again, I'll get into. And we've got we're adding a few more trees. So splash pads are great for kids of all ages. We're working with Lone Star and Aquatics is the splash pad vendor. We actually worked with 3 separate vendors in the design process, and we've narrowed it down to Lone Star. They've been really great partners with us. So you can see in the top right exhibit, there's a little diagram, and these play areas go into 3 areas. So there's dynamic, which is going to be for your older kids, a little bit more exciting features. There's a universal for everyone. And then there's your gentle activity zone, which is going to be baby and toddlers. So it's just great to know that, all age groups are accounted for. It's also inclusive. Water play is really great for different cognitive abilities and physical abilities. So this feature on the screen is the Aqua Gather Station. This is a water table, and I've personally seen water tables at parks that really bring kids together. It's really cool to see, the younger kids learn from the older kids, and everyone's working together, so it's good teamwork. So parks really advocated for a feature like that here. Also physical and social development, and then splash pad. There's water, there's vibrant colors, there's kids screaming and laughing. So it really does become this really great hub for the park. So I'm just gonna point out some notable features. These renderings were done by Lone Star. This is your this is the water bucket cluster. So this is gonna be a little bit more for the older kids, a lot of splash, a lot of good play value. We also have this side of the slide, which I'll get to here. So the slide is going to be for your younger kids. This is called the Nautilus One. And then there's over 10 different jets and sprays and different features throughout the splash pad. We've seen this is the Aqua Gather, but in the back, I wanted to point out the Dragonflyer as well. We really worked with parks to kind of theme this, but not overly themed where it becomes outdated quickly. So we really think that this kind of brings an iconic area branding to this symbol. We've got your dragonfly, you've got your lily pad on the ground. So it's kind of nature themed. It's tucked under some natural trees and really pulls it together. So shade, we wanted to provide a very large shade structure. So this is 20 by 36. We can put 8 to 10 tables under it. We just think this would be a great amenity for really all the users. Site furnishings, we currently have site furnishings as an alternate. These site furnishings were picked with parks, so it's same vendors. It should be easy to maintain. They're tried and true. They're used in other parks. So we want to be consistent there. And then tree planting is also an alternative currently. We have a few oaks and then a few smaller small trees like the wax myrtle and the Yopon holly. While providing additional shade for seating, it also kind of provides a little bit of a buffer between that shared use path. So, you can see the kids and see the splash pad, but it's not right on the path, which is really nice to see. Okay, cost. So this is a general overview of our construction cost estimate. I'm going to do a high level here. I've got some project examples I'm going to hit next, and I think that will help, if you have any questions. So currently on the base bid, we're at 823, 124,000, we'll just round up. And then with the alternates, we come to 183,000. So again, site furnishings and plantings, and then Kimley Horn's construction phase services are included as alternate services here. All right. So this is where I think we can kind of get good comparisons. So our splash pad, which is just the circle and equipment, is about 2,500 square feet. Our splash pad equipment cost is at $475,000, and then total project cost is that $895,000 value. So I wanted to provide 3 project examples just to show you comparison. The first is Louisville Old Town Aquatic Splash Park. This, our Austin office worked on this. This is a large splash pad. So this was 25,000 square feet. The full project is almost a full acre, so it's $2.5 million, and it was built in 2023. So this is quite large, on the large side. I think another park, the Embry Splash Pad, I feel like is more a reasonable comparison. This is in Garland, Texas. We did not work on this project, but we are working on the city's second splash pad. So this is 4,500 square feet, so a little bit bigger than ours. The equipment cost was about $400,000, with the total project cost about $1 million, also built in 2023. Comparison, the splash pad we are working on in Garland is double the size, and it's $2.7 million. So they escalate pretty quickly. The third is a Lone Star project. We did not work on this one, the Burke Crenshaw Park in Pasadena. This was just a buy-board project with Lone Star, so it's just the splash pad. There's no other site amenities, shade, utility, drainage, any of that. So it's just kind of in the spot. So that one is coming in low at $305,000. So with that, I'm going to go back to the cost estimate and pause to see if you guys have any additional questions.
Do we want to hold questions to the end, or we do want to do them now?
If we could hold questions until after the presentation and the public hearing, that would be great.
Perfect. Okay, well, with that, I'm going to pass this over to William on next steps.
All right. So the next steps, we're looking at funding resolution approval. Then we'd like to move on to construction documentation completed. Like I said, we're at 95%. We're moving to 100%. I think we're just working through some comments from plan review. Project bidding, August, September, city council approval, hopefully in October, November. It will be above 100,000, so it will need to go to city council for approval. And construction kickoff around October, November, and then hopefully construction completed May, June 2026 before the summer of next year. Shay, do I do the resolution recommendation first or questions first? Do I go ahead and read the recommendation now, or do I wait? Okay, thank you. Based on the consultant's cost estimate and proposed fee for construction administration, staff is requesting a total of $892,824 for the construction and associated services. Since $500,000 has already been allocated through CPK 2403 as part of the approved fiscal year 25 budget, staff recommends the additional $392,824 be funded from the Reserve for Opportunities. With that, staff recommends the Sugar Land 4B Board hold a public hearing and approve resolution number SL4B-R-25-05, authorizing total funding of $892,824 for the construction and construction administration services of the Sugar Land Memorial Park Splash Pad.
All right, thank you. So we'll open the public hearing. Citizens who desire to address the board with regard to the matters pertaining to the public hearing will be received at this time. Anyone? All right, we'll close the public hearing. We'll now move forward with consideration and action on the Sugar Land 4B Corporation Resolution number SLB 4R-25-05, a resolution of the Board of Directors of the Sugar Land 4B Corporation approving a request by the City of Sugar Land to fund a splash pad at Sugar Land Memorial Park in the amount of $892,824. We'll open it for discussion and questions from the board.
Thank you. I do have a few, so if you guys want to go first? Okay. First of all, William, this is awesome. Thank you. This is going to be fun, but, so Stuart's not here, so I'm going to do this one, okay? I got to do the financial thing, and that's not my forte. So I'm going to start off by asking you about the 500 CIP funding source. Is that also 4B funded through CIP, or is that general fund?
Yeah, that was,
Hello, Jessica Hubble. So the 500,000 was approved through the 4B CIP at the beginning of the FY25 fiscal year. So that 500,000 is already accounted for. So what they're asking for is the overage of the 300 plus that would come from SL4B R4O.
Okay, that's even better. So building on that, you know what Stuart would ask, where does that put us on a reserve for opportunities? Is that included in the proposed budgets we already have, or where are we on proposed budgets?
The one in-
Projects, I'm sorry.
Yeah, the one in front of you shows our R4O currently at $1 million. It does not take out their request. So we would drop down to 700 or 600, but the Imperial acquisition, Lake Point, everything that you've seen thus far is already accounted for in that budget you see. So that's where we sit today. So we have plenty in R4O to do this if you so choose.
That is exactly what I wanted to hear. Thank you. So that's all the financial questions I had. Stuart, I hope you heard that. The next one's really about the logistics of the pad. I like this space. It is in proximity to a very somber area in Memorial Park. And I'm looking at that hill and thinking, will that be our buffer, our barrier for all those kids playing? If we have someone that's in the tower trying to have a moment, is that going to cause any problem?
we believe that that hill will help buffer that, along with the landscaping and trees planted around the splash pad.
I mean, it's a beautiful place for the park, but the purpose of the park is memorial. So I don't want to offset what we're trying to do there with two different, really different things. In the proximity, I want to make sure we buffer that sound because kids are going to have fun out there and it's going to make some noise.
I think that's also the reason we tried to keep it as close to the playground to keep the play areas contained. And William mentioned it, but I didn't clearly explain. We are putting a singular fence around the splash pad and the playground, so it feels one continuous area, just to help section it off from the memorial.
And I kind of like the background noise of the kids because, yeah, it's somber, but this is why we made those sacrifices.
I
To
like
hear
it.
that.
Yeah.
You know, it's just in the background. It'd be fantastic.
So that was one of my questions about that. And I like the trees that because the second one was trees and you talked about trees, the additional trees coming in. That's great. And one of the things that I don't want to be the bad guy here, but how we talked about liabilities, how do we address any liabilities for the people who may get hurt?
Yeah, just like the pump track, just like the playgrounds, just like the skate park, just like the canoe launches. There's a discussion with risk management, and they, of course, put it on their insurance schedule, and they're become aware of this project through the project manager and the team. But the rule signs are installed at key locations on the splash pad, making them aware of the operating hours, the do's and don'ts, and the safety and the risks,
Okay.
just like the pump track.
And I kind of knew that answer. I just wanted it to be vocal. And the last thing I want to ask you, what about the monitoring of access? I assume if you want to close it, you just cut the water off?
Yeah, good question. Just like River Park, cut the water off and they leave. It's gated, so we could lock the gates if we need to.
Okay.
But honestly, once the water's cut off, people leave, and there's really nothing to really mess up. It's after the water's off, it's just basically a concrete pad, so to speak. I imagine if people want to come in and still use the shade during the off hours, I don't think that's going to be a problem. If it becomes a problem, I think we just lock the gates.
Okay, I did have one more question. Bathrooms. So we're going to have kids and families changing in the bathrooms. Are we set up and equipped to do that? Is that going to be a problem?
I don't think it's going to be a problem. Obviously the restrooms were built before a splash pad,
Right.
not vice versa, but there's locked bays in both of the men's and women's restrooms.
Okay, great. Thank you.
The cool thing about this project is it saves a little bit of cost being associated to an existing park. The electrical for the controls is going to come out of the restroom and not its own meter. And then we're going to grab the main water line, which we had lots of talks with Public Works to get buy-in on this project, water utilities. And there's a main water line that runs right parallel with that sidewalk that we're going to be able to tie into. And so it really reduced a lot of the utility costs on this project.
The questions?
No questions. I drive by the park on a regular basis and it's used by a lot of our citizens and it'll be very exciting to have the splash pad there
What's the completion?
next summer.
timetable?
Before next summer.
I'd just pile in, the more shade, I know you have a big, beautiful structure, but we take our grandkids regularly to these things and you need shade. And I would argue benches over tables just because somebody sits at a table, the other families tend not to go up to them, but benches.
Yes, sir. Noted. And I will say that these are craft tables. They're not picnic tables. So there's like 3 or 4 chairs per table. And we really feel like that's going to help that the people not feel like they're imposing on somebody else. So we went a little bit away from the traditional picnic table on this one.
I guess,
and did more than,
I saw the picnic tables and I didn't notice them here.
yes, sir.
Okay.
And we actually increased the shade structure.
Yeah, it's a big, beautiful structure.
It was going to originally be a little bit smaller than that. It's like 1 PO. And we just pushed and we just said, hey, y'all think, team, do we think we can do a little bit bigger? And that's honestly part of the reason why some of the costs went up, but shade is not cheap, but we really feel like it gives a lot of value increasing the size of that shade.
I'll bet in 18 months you're back asking for more shade.
I hope not, but don't hold me to it.
Any other questions? We have a motion?
Go ahead.
All in favor of project?
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank
Exciting.
y'all.
All right, we'll move on to the director's report. Devin?
All right, good afternoon. We've got some exciting things to share with you today. So we've done a lot, and so I've got a lot to cover, so bear with me, but a lot of great things have been happening across business development, tourism, and redevelopment this last month or two. Okay, so to start off with business development, the city's first business walk was held in late May. And so what a business walk is it's really a business retention event where you pick an area and you set up in groups, maybe it's 1 or 2 people, and you just walk a commercial area and you the city, sometimes the chamber participates too, and just introduce yourself to the businesses and say, how is business going? Good, bad, what can we do to maybe improve things? What is going great? And it's a great business retention opportunity. It's a great opportunity to just get feedback from, our residents and businesses, because a lot of these people live here as well as own their business here. And so this year was the first year that's ever done it, and visited over 20 businesses, and it was in the Lake Point Shopping Center area, and really got some really valuable feedback, able to share some key resources with those businesses. Maybe they didn't know that this program was available, or they could sign up to get this alert. And so it's just a really great one-on-one opportunity, and really meeting with mostly our small businesses in the community. And then Alba and Jennifer went to Select USA and attended that event. This was the first time, I believe, that they attended that one. It's a premier U.S. government event dedicated to promoting foreign direct investment into the United States. And then Alba also attended the Bio International Conference. So it's the most comprehensive event for biotechnology, life sciences, kind of the full ecosystem. As you'll remember, life sciences is one of our targeted industries here in Sugar Land. So a little bit more of just events, networking, relationship building, Constellation Field hosting with Memorial Hermann. Matasoft had their grand opening. They have their building that they built. You can see it on 59 there, and they've finally moved in. There's also the Plug and Play Silicon Valley Summer Summit. So Plug and Play has opened their office here in Town Center. And so there are these events from time to time that we also are participating in terms of that overall ecosystem that they are developing. And then Fort Bend County's 2025 State of Higher Education. So a lot of us getting out there in the community with all of our different partners and businesses that help make Sugar Land a great place. All right, marketing and tourism. So the Visit Sugarland marketing team focused on marketing efforts for Sugarland's Jazz Fest and Sweet Beats that was hosted at the festival site. They hosted 2 DJ sets and a photo booth and a candy station. And so lots of just getting out there and getting the brand and the awareness out there for these festival sites that took place. And then Jordan Cutler also moderated a small business panel at the Governor's Business Summit that was hosted here at the Marriott in Town Square. Visit Sugarland also supported the ULI conference. So the ULI conference and the Governor's Business Summit both happened at Marriott on the same day, kind of a little bit of overlapping times, but it was a great opportunity to reach all these different partners, introduce folks to Sugarland, and also be able to promote our local businesses at the same time using the Visit Sugarland's coffee/candy cart, I guess we can kind of call it now. Afternoon, it served candy. All right, and then Visit Sugarland launched its new website. So if you've not gone to visit, please go to Visit Sugarland's website. It has just, for any of your friends and family that don't live in Sugarland, this is an easy way for them to do hotel booking, and just has all sorts of, there's a new AI bot, the event calendar, there's tons of information there. So it's helpful for visitors, and businesses are looking to come here, but it's also helpful for you to know what all the events that are going on in Sugarland that you might also want to participate in as well. All right, tourism sales, also very busy. Like I said, we have a lot to discuss. There's been a lot going on. We do this to make sure that you all stay informed of everything that is happening that might not necessarily require an action on your behalf, but good for you to know what's happening. So there was a Seafood City tour. Tourism organized a group tour of Seafood City for 40 employees from Houston First. If you have not gone to Seafood City, we recommend it. The Houston Marriott welcomed the Remington Hospitality for their leadership conference. So over 450 attendees, great for our hotel nights here at our Marriott. And you can see that estimated event impact there of over $370,000. And then Alyssa Abdullah also attended the Houston First Live After 5 networking event at Little Woodrow's. And this event connected hospitality partners from all over Houston to provide opportunities for networking and collaboration. So we're really getting out there and having a lot of great things happening. All right, community development. We've had the BizNow State of the Market. So BizNow Houston's State of the Market in Sugarland. It was really great. We held it on the top floor of the building B, I think. Building B? Building H. Darn it, Building H. Okay, but basically the office building over here, the top floor is vacant and has been used for, again and again for event space. And so we had the BizNow's Houston State of the Market event there. Jessica Hubble was on the panel. She's now been asked to be on another panel because she did such a great job. Jessica and I also attended ULI's spring meeting in Denver. That was a great opportunity to meet, network with a variety of folks that are all part of the development community, but also be able to go on some tours and see how have other developments or projects happened and what was important. And then we had our board night at the Space Cowboys game. Livability produced that we are the #3 best place to live. And so that was really exciting. And then we also launched our new monthly newsletter that has project updates, kind of what's been in the news, upcoming events. And so you can subscribe for that as well. I already touched on a little bit about the ULI Blueprints event. Ruth and Emily graduated from TEDC's a basic economic development course. And so that was a great, I think it's like a 3-day, you are like taken from a water hose. It's just very intense of like the full breadth of economic development. And so that's been a great first step for them in terms of their economic development, education and continuing education. Fort Bend County's 2025 State of Higher Education, you'll see our table there. And then we had the ribbon cutting for the Imperial Park weight room and as well as the shade structure there. Great Homes for year 3 has come to an end. So since the program launched, this is our kind of the full breadth of the 3 years of the program, not just this year 3. 326 projects, over almost 6 million really in home improvements. Then that's 850,000 in reimbursements. The average reimbursement was about $2,600. So what the really important part is this public versus private investment, right? We are putting some public investment in to encourage the private investment to happen in the community. For year one, our ratio was 6-1. So for every $1 of public funds, it would resulted in $6 from private investment. Year two is 7-1. Year three was 9-1. So we are increasing, and so our overall average is 7-1. I am really, really happy with these results, and it really shows just how much the program is gaining speed. It's impacting our neighborhoods and really reinvesting in our housing stock. All right, and then if that all wasn't enough of all of those things, our exciting news is that today officially we are the owners of 40 acres of the Imperial Historic District, including the Char House. So there was 2 owners that we had negotiated purchase contracts with, the Denani Group as well as the Hunton Group, or SLP 90A, and we have officially closed on all of that property and own that. We are, this is just the beginning. This is a huge milestone. We definitely want to celebrate it, but this is just the beginning. We are moving forward with the Char House preservation efforts, and then we will also be moving forward with some community engagement and the selection process for a master development partner. Everybody can stay updated by going to that website that is regularly updated, as well as you can sign up for the newsletter so that when we have special news like we did today, we send that out as part of keeping everybody updated. And, we still have more. I thought that was how we were going to end it. Yes, we also had in May, we had our town square incentive that was done, but lots of media coverage. Like I said, there's been so much going on. We've had a very busy 6 month, 10+ articles that have been in the various news publications, all positive, really implementing, improving, influencing what Sugar Land's reputation is, not just in the Houston region, but I think beyond. Spoiler alert, we actually had, was in the New York Times today, so that was a big step as well, and so we'll probably share more of that as well. And that was just organic, and so that just means that the more effort that we're putting in, that all of this is working. And with that, I think that we are finally done. But a lot of exciting things to update you on, and thank you, and we'll just end the meeting.
Thank you, Devin. That's great. That's outstanding. You have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
A motion, we adjourn?
Second? All in favor?